Hi everyone, today I'm going to be having a go at some parts of this picture. This is from Secret Garden. It's actually in my copy of the weekly planner. This is the first week of February. Now I'm going to do a pastel background and I'm going to do that first. So I've got some newspaper here underneath. I've got the book on a sketchbook. I'm protecting my surface underneath because I do tend to make quite a mess. Now I'm going to do a few different colours of background, but I want it to be quite pale. Although we've got these sort of dots in the sky that I sometimes think might be stars, as if it's a night scene, I'm going to make it a more daylight scene, and I might make these sort of colour like magical dots or something like that. So I'm thinking about the colours now. I'm using my new pastels. These are upside down Mungio soft pastels, and I've got a lot of different colours to pick from here, which makes it quite a difficult job for me. But I've decided to go quite pale, so I'm going to pick my palest colours for the different sections. So on this bottom part here, I'm going to do it green, and I'm going to scrape the pastel straight onto the page this time. I often scrape it, there's a bit of flowers there but also leaves. I often scrape it into a bowl and then sort of mix it around, but this time I've decided to do it this way, a little bit differently. And yes, these flowers are going to get a green background, but it's okay. Now I'm going to do a bit more green here and along on this top bit where I've got the leaves. And what I'm hoping is to be able to get a background colour on here and then colour some sort of highlighty colours in pencils after. So that's some green. Now I want a bit of blue in the sky here, but I don't know whether it's going to work right next to the green. I'm just going to have a go and see what happens. I've got, this is a sort of grey blue that I'm going to use, because the other blue that I've got, the others are sort of more of a cyany type colour, which isn't quite a sky blue. This to me looks more like a sky blue. Now I've never used these quite like this before, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. And some of this floral area here, I was thinking maybe might look nicer in a pink. I haven't got quite a few bright pinks. This is my sort of dusty pink. It looks very different in the camera to what it does here. So I'm just going to put a little bit on there, a little bit on these flowers and a bit around here, and we're going to go for it. So what I'm going to do, just pop my knife away, is use a cotton pad like this to mix them up. I'm going to use another cotton pad in my other hand, as I always do, to hold the page down. And then I'm going to gently start to apply this colour to the page by doing little circular movements. I hope that isn't drowning out my talking too much, or maybe you won't mind. And just to get a bit of an idea of colour. Now I've not done pastel on this paper in this planner before. It usually applies very nicely into Johanna's books, but I don't know how it's going to work here. I'm going to do all the green first, because obviously I'm getting green on the cotton ball or whatever, cotton pad. So I don't, although the colours will merge and mix a little bit, I want to keep it slightly separate. Now what I have made the mistake of doing is not putting a piece of paper behind here, and I'm spreading green pastel down the edges of the pages. I've got a piece of paper here that I'm going to now slip between the pages, a bit late. But anyway, it's okay. I'm not too precious about it all. I think, although the books are absolutely beautiful, and there's no doubt about that at all, I don't want to get too worried about spoiling things and that sort of thing. It just makes me stressed, and we don't want to get stressed. I'm going to fold this green bit underneath and use a clean piece for the pink. I'm just going to smoosh that around a little bit here and here and here. Now, when I do pastel, I will often use a fixative to stop it transferring to the next page. I haven't got it with me. I'm going to move on to the blue, so I'm going to turn this another way again. I haven't got it at hand. I use one by a company called Loxley. Now that blue hasn't shown up at all. You can probably just see a vague bit of green, a vague bit of pink. There's no blue. So I'm going to use a different shade of blue to try and get a more intense colour. This one, this is quite a dark one, so we'll see what happens. I'm just going to really apply quite just a small amount, like that. Anyway, I use the fixative to stop it spreading to the other pages of the book. Now with this planner, because there isn't a picture on the facing page, I might not worry about doing that, but I still need to secure it so that I don't spread it all over the page when I'm colouring. Now my fixative is a, what do they call it? Workable fixative, that's the word I'm looking for. I think I need a little bit more colour here, and so I can spray the fixative and then work afterwards on top of it, and it's fine. But so that's an option. I do find it does add a sort of texture to the paper, and some makes it harder to blend the colours, I find. It might depend very much on the paper though. Now this green looks quite yellowy, so I'm going to go in with a slightly darker one, particularly at the top here where we've got quite intense leaves going on, lots of leaves, so it might make it a bit darker. There we go. And you see how I'm sort of building in confidence. I started off not wanting anything too dark, and now I can see the effect. I'm more willing to add a little bit more intense colour to it all. See, the good thing with, that's why you hold the page down, the good thing with pastel is that you can always colour over the top in pencils or in pen, and it will just disappear. So if you make a mistake, it's not really mattering too much. I prefer that darker look. So anyway, so you could add the fixative, but I'm not going to do that here because I've got it here. So I'm going to have to lean my arm on something as I colour to make sure. Can I use some of that darker colour down? Or should I? No, I'm going to use more of the lighter one. There's a really nice one here. It's a sort of limey, olivey colour. I really like it. I'm going to use that. Maybe I just need a bit more. So I'm going to lean my hand on a piece of paper and hope that I just don't end up with pastel all up my hand. So it's up to you which approach you take. You can experiment with different ideas. Right, let's hold that down and see what sort of seems to work best for you. See, the problem with doing it onto the paper is that a lot of it gets absorbed into the cotton before you've even started rubbing it in. There, that's more of a colour. Some more in here as well, and I'm going to put a bit more pink in. Look at this colour, look at that. Oh, it's pretty. I'm going to use that. Now, of course, once I do pink on these flowers, they're probably going to have to be pink. But anyway, that's okay. But so it's so if you do make a big old mistake, I'm just going to hold the page down with that bit on there. And use a clean bit of this. You can cover it over after, so you can be a bit daring with it, and have a play and see what happens. Pastel's quite fun and easy as well. Now I want to look and check that I've got some colour on each bit of the page. So we've got some of the yellowy green here, we've got just a pink bit, pink and green. We've got a bit here that's a bit gappy. I'm thinking a bit of blue might go well there, just because it's sort of skyy, birdy bit, and that will be the end then. I should just rub in with a bit of blue. There we go. Now that's probably quite difficult for you to see, but I shall zoom in as I colour. Now my hands are quite messy, you can see just from picking up the little bits of pastel, but so I'm going to just pause the video and wash my hands. Right, I'm back now. I've moved away the newspaper because it didn't look very nice, and I finished being really messy, and I'm going to zoom in, and I think we're going to do the bird and bird table. I'm going to zoom in quite close. There we go. Try and move him into the middle. And I've just got a little piece of paper that I've torn out of my book, which I'll be leaning on to colour with. And I'm going to be using my Faber Castell Polychromos for this. Just going to move my pastels out of the way. I should have done that when I was off camera. Sorry, being a bit disorganised. And so I'm going to use Faber Castell Polychromos for this, and grab my sharpener and think about what colours we're going to do. Now the bird, he's blue and green in the background, as you can see from the pastel. So I think I probably would like to do him brown, and I think if I colour over the top, I think it'll all disappear. The thing we have to be careful of are lighter colours like yellow. I was going to do him a yellow beak. I think it would look odd. There's blue behind him. It would probably go green, so that isn't ideal. But I'm going to do, as I say, I'm going to do him brown. So I'm going to start off with this one, which is the Dyke Brown. It's quite small, like most of my colours. And we'll start off here now. I feel that under his tummy here there'd be a bit of shadow, so I'm going to do him a little bit darker and then do a lighter layer of colour coming up. I'm going to use Johanna's lines here as a guide, so I'm going to do this part of him or this colour and then choose a different shade. Now as you can see, hopefully, where the paper shows through, we can see the background colour. Now I'm not very keen on that. So I'm going to go over those lighter parts that I want to be yellow. I'm going to use the brown ochre and just go over these. So they are still light, but we can't see that background through so much. I don't want to see that colour. Like that, there we go. And I might carry on with this lighter colour over some other parts of him. So I'm just going to colour the whole of the wing quickly like that, and then put some more colour into the end, so small layers of colour into the end of his tail. Now you see I've gone out of the line now, which isn't ideal. I can't rub it out. Now I've gone back to the Dyke Brown. I'm just going to use these two browns. So I want to leave a little shiny gap there. I'm going to sharpen this brown a little bit. So if you go out of the lines, if you rub it out, you rub out the pastel. So it's tough, really. There we go. Now the top of him, I'm going to do a mix. I'm going to do some of this lighter brown, but only in a light layer. And then go over the top with this one, which is the brown ochre. I'm just having a look at how long I've been recording for, because I stopped the video. I've got no idea. I don't like to make the videos too long, but on the other hand, they need to be a decent length. There he is. Now, for birds, you can do them sort of fluffy and feathery and get a thin, very sharp pencil and draw all sorts of lines on them to look like feathers. I have done that before. He's very small, so I'm just sharpening this pencil and then I'll tell you what it is. So I'm not going to make him any different to any sort of fluffy. This is Cold Grey 4, and I'm going to be using it for the beak. Now I think his beak would be darker underneath and lighter on top, but I can't leave a white gap. So what I'm going to do is do it quite intensely dark, and the legs, and then I shall have to do a shine with a pen rather than leaving a gap. I'll show you in a minute what I mean. There we go. And I'm going to grab a black first and sharpen it. Everything's blunt. Maybe I should sharpen everything first. My sharpener even seems a bit blunt. So I'm going to do some black under here, just to make the beak look darker, and a bit up there, and at the top of the legs a little bit. There we go. And now I'm going to get my white pen. I've got a Sakura jelly roll. This is the number 5. It's a really thin one. No, there's a There's an 8, 5 and a 1, I think, in the set that I've got. And I'm just going to draw the tiniest bit of shine on his beak there. So he looks like he's, and I might actually do his eye too. I'm thinking actually I'm going to do his whole eye black because he's got a white line around the eye which is coloured with greeny blue. So make it all black and do a little dot. Doesn't want to write now. Come on, pen. Come on. This is the only problem with this little one. It clogs a little bit. There we go. I don't even know if you can see that, but it's definitely there. And it's a teeny, teeny dot. Right. So I'm going to move on to the bird table. Now, I'm trying to think about what colour. I'm always tempted to do a grey roof because it looks like slates, but I think in our garden we would probably want something quite fancy for our bird table. So I'm going to go in with a darker colour. I'm going to use this Blueish Turquoise. I think it will go quite well with the blue background as well. And it might be something quite decorative. Now, I was thinking of doing each of these little pieces of tile separately, but I think it's just too small. So instead, I'm going to go in with a darker colour at the top and lightening it towards the bottom. And don't worry about seeing the background through. You might go over it with another colour. I'll see how it all turns out. So I'm trying to do more layers at the top and just a more gentle, lower pressure layer towards the bottom here. Oh, it's nice to be colouring. I've been waiting all day to film. I've been working this morning and just looking forward to getting my pencils out and having good old colour, because I can't always use the kitchen because the washing machine was on. It's very dull, isn't it? We all have to do it though, don't we? Get all the washing done and dried, and so it was too noisy. But now it's nice and quiet. The family are all upstairs. Children are making their Minecraft videos, I think. The husband's supposed to be doing some art, I think. So there we go. Now, I'm not sure whether to do these bits in a lighter colour or just leave it. I think it's okay. Because the background's blue, it doesn't look odd like the bird did. It looks fine, so I'm going to leave it. And I'm going to use some lighter shades of these lovely sort of turquoisey colours to do the rest of this little birdhouse. So my next choice is the Cobalt Green. I'm trying to sharpen it, but I don't know if I can. And you'll see why when I show it to you. I think I'm not going to use that one. I need a manual sharpener. This sharpener's got a ridge on it, so you can't turn. This is a Staedtler Noris. You can't turn a small pencil, so I'm going to use this big one. So this is the, as I say, the Cobalt Green. I grabbed a new one because I thought I might struggle. And I'm going to do some of the bits with this. So under here I think would be quite intense and dark under this roof. I realise we haven't done all these other bits yet. I'm still thinking about what to do with that. So there's that bit. Now I'm always I'm a bit stuck because we've got a line here. What's that line there? Is there a piece of wood in here or not? I'm never quite sure, so I'm going to do these long bits. Now this is quite hard to stay in the lines because my pencil's quite thick. It's a very fine picture, but I'm just going for it and seeing what happens. I'm going to do that bit a little bit lighter. So pressing quite hard here to get this definite line and across here, and then a bit lighter here. There we go. And I'm going to grab this shade. This is the light Cobalt Turquoise. It's very hard to see in this light. Which way? There. And I'm just going to sharpen it though. This is a nice new one, very long. Still not very sharp, but that'll do. And I'm going to do these bits in this colour. I'm thinking it might be different pretty colours. That's what I would want if I was having one like this in my garden. My bird feeder, I just had a little one on a metal post. So I'm doing a little bit harder and more layers here and lighter towards the middle, just to make it look like the light is catching it from the front. I'm going to do the same on all of these bits in the same colour. So yeah, we had a black sort of pole with a feeder on, but no longer, sadly. But there we go. Now I think this bit under here might be a bit darker because Johanna's drawn these lines on it here. So I'm going to go over the top of what we've done with the Cobalt Green and just darken it up, particularly towards the edge here. There we go. Now we've got these bits. I'm so tempted to do silver, but I'm not sure that a grey quite work. But I'm going to give it a go. Yes, I think this one, the Cold Grey 3, might try that. And I can't really layer it up to make it look really silver because it's too small. But what we could do is put a bit of white on it to make it look like it's reflecting the light. That might give us a slightly silvery look. I'll experiment. If it doesn't work, then you can not do it on yours if you're colouring along. So wait for me to do it and see if it works and see if you like it first. And I'm thinking the pole might be silver as well. I'm looking at all those colours in the pole that from the you can't see, from the pastels. We've got the sort of greeny yellow and the pink and the blue. I think it'll work. So I'm going to do that as well. You can't see all those, so I'll put my paper there and then I know where you can see up to. So I'm just going to do this bit. And I'm colouring it all in an even colour, fairly heavy. And then I'm going to take a darker grey. I think I've got one here. Yeah, the Cold Grey 4 that we used for the 6. This is Cold Grey 6. I told you it was Cold Grey 4. My Roman numeral knowledge is what we use for the beak. And we use it here. And I'll show you what I'm going to do is to try and put a little bit of darker colour along each side of the pole. And it gives it a slightly three-dimensional feel. So it makes it look like there's some shadow on either side and it somehow just brings it more rounded. I'm going to also do a little bit of shadow there because there would be some under here. And we could do a bit on here too. See, under there, maybe at the top of these as well. Just a little bit here and there. Now we've got this bit too, look. It's like a little screw or some sort of, I just think it looks like a little drawer with a handle. I don't know what would be in there. Birdseed, of course. And a little bit of dark towards the bottom. There we go. Okay, and now I'm going to do the rest of this pole. So I'm going to push it up so you can see. I'm not going to be able to fit all of it in the frame. Hang on. I'll zoom out a little bit. Gosh, it's long, isn't it? It goes on forever. There we go. So I'm going back to using the Cold Grey 3. I need to make sure I lean on my paper. And as I say, do a hard level. Now we've got the flowers. We need to colour around those because obviously they're going to be whatever colour I decide to do them later. And then grab the darker one and go along the edge. And here. And then keep going down. Yeah, just making sure you can still see. I find it quite odd leaning on a piece of paper, but it's necessary. It's amazing what a difference this makes. I've just finished a picture and I was doing some sort of vines, and I wanted them to look rounded, and they were thinner than this, so I used a different pencil. I don't know if you can you see? Yeah. So I used one of my Polychromos for the main colour, and then I found a thinner pencil from a different brand to do the edge. It was a bit easier. What did I use? Yeah, I used a Prismacolor very thin pencil that I happen to have. I bought a set of those because I couldn't afford the full set of the Prismacolor Premier, so I bought those instead. Unfortunately, they're very, very different, so I now know. They're very good for tiny details, and what I hope you can see from that is that even though we've got the background colour and it changes through the post, because we've put quite a heavy layer of pencil, we can't see it behind. So that's quite handy to know. So you know that when you're doing all of the rest of the details on the page, that it won't matter that you've got this background colour, because it would all cover over. So I am going to leave that there. I think that's plenty to be going on with. And that's probably the only tutorial I'll do for this page. Well, it will be. So I'm going to leave you to fill in all the rest of the leaves and flowers and think about it. When I've completed the page, I will post it on Instagram, and hopefully it will be before this video goes out that I'll get it done, so that you'll be able to see what it looks like, and then maybe take some inspiration for colours and things if you need it. But hopefully you'll be able to come up with a few ideas of your own. So I'm just going to zoom in at the end on our little bird table, and there we go. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Do remember to subscribe to the channel if you want reminders of when the new videos come out. Thank you very much, and happy colouring.